Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama, and I thank you for joining me for another episode this week. This week, I'm going back to July of 2014 when I first interviewed Monica and Ben, and they run the Etsy shop Catch Me Studio. They're a husband and wife pair that run their Etsy shop together, and I wanted to play this for couples who are trying to go into business together and working out just, the division of responsibility and how that will work. And I think Monica and Ben, our conversation was really good because they shared just how they divide up the responsibility and run a husband and wife business together. So I think you'll really enjoy their story. In Catch Me Studio, they sell printable organizers and specialize in graphic design custom orders. When we first had this conversation, Monica used to make wreaths. I remember we referred to her as the wreath making machine. But it looks like they've kind of moved away from that, which again is just a testament to Etsy and selling on Etsy and how you can evolve and change and grow as your business grows and follow the market where it's leading you. And so, I hope you listen. I hope you get inspiration from this episode, and I will be back again next week.
Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast, featuring inspiring interviews with Etsy shop owners, hosted by Ijama Elazu.
Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama. And with me, I'm thrilled to have on my first duo ever on the podcast. I have Ben and Monica, and they run the Etsy shop Catch Me Studios. The shop has been open since July 9th, 2011. They've had 83 sales and 14 five-star reviews. Ben, Monica, hi.
Hi. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Glad to be here.
Great. So this is a first where we have three people on, but I'm really happy to have you guys on because you work as a team, and I've never had a team on. So I think it's going to be interesting to hear about how you run your Etsy shop together. So can you tell me when you first discovered Etsy?
I think we discovered it the latter half of 2010. And at this point, I'm not even sure how we did, but it came up maybe on a search for something. And we kind of liked the idea of it. But then we kicked the idea around for a while before we actually did anything with it.
Right. What were you thinking of doing before you actually started? Did you have different ideas of what you might want to sell, or did you know what you wanted to sell right off?
Not at first. And previously I had done some digital scrapbooking material for my own use and for my daughter, who was at the time in middle school. And I had sold some stuff at that point, but it had been years and years and years ago. So that was, I think, kind of where we started from. And then we morphed into something where we were selling collectibles for a while. And then we discovered printable invitations, and that's where I started to really throw my work into it.
Oh, right. And so, Ben, you do all the designs for the printable invitations, is that right?
Yes.
And Monica is the wreath making machine.
Yes.
So tell us exactly what you sell in your Etsy shop.
Well, we sell all occasion cards. It's everything we have is in a digital format. So it's all digital downloads, and we have mainly our main focus is wedding invitations, menu cards, programs, that kind of thing. And then we also have like baby announcements and a lot of scrapbooking papers, and then some wreaths thrown in. So we have a little bit of everything, and like I said, most of it's in a digital format. So, and it's all print it yourself. So you get a digital file, and then you can either print it on your own printers, or you can have a public printer do it for you. So
okay, when someone buys the file, do you also make recommendations on the types of materials that they can use, that they can print the designs on?
Generally, yes.
Okay.
Mostly because when you're talking about printing something that's a wedding invitation, a lot of people don't know what's the best paper or what kind of paper in general. So cardstock is always the best choice. But sometimes when they want to go to a professional printer to have it done, then you have to kind of instruct them on how to go about doing that process too.
Okay. So are they limited to the choices of the designs that you currently have up? Or if someone has an idea of how they would like to customize something that they see in your shop, can you work with them in that way?
I've done a couple of birthday invitations, and then I did another party invitation, I believe it was. So I've done some custom work for things that I don't have in my shop that ended up becoming things that I've sold.
Oh, good. Oh, nice. Now, the other question I had for you, because most of what you do, you make them available as digital downloads. How do you prevent people from just going onto the site and downloading what you have?
Well, as far as the printable materials, the images aren't quality enough to really get anything out of them.
Okay, good.
But as far as the wonderful thing about the creative world is anybody can borrow from anybody. So it's not uncommon to see bits and pieces of your work somewhere else, or to really borrow bits and pieces from other people. It's kind of part of the creative process in some ways.
Okay.
But the scrapbooking stuff, because of the way that they're displayed, it really isn't any way to get a really good full image out of them, unless you're really good at what you do, and then you can probably piece it together pretty easily.
Right. Okay. I thought about that. I thought, oh man, what if people just download and don't pay? But that makes sense. So do you run the Etsy shop full time, or do you have jobs outside of Etsy?
We both have jobs outside.
Okay. And how do you manage your time between running your Etsy business and all the other things that you are responsible for?
That's funny you should ask.
Sometimes not very well.
We both have full-time jobs that pretty much keep us out of the house for 10 to 12 hours during the week. So when I work, come home and then put in 2 or 3 hours, at least 4 days a week, and then spend as much time on the weekend as I can do. Mm-hmm. And Monica does a lot of stuff just on the weekends and the evenings when she can squeeze it in too.
Wow.
It didn't start out that way, but has become, oh gosh, it looks like I need to produce a whole lot more for my shop. So then we spend a lot of time at it.
Yeah.
A lot of what I'm doing is our social networking and that kind of stuff. And that could take over your whole life if you
oh my goodness. Tell me about it. Yes. Social media is a business on its own. Just taking care of that. Is your hope to one day run the Etsy shop full time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like one of our goals would be probably a 5-year goal would be to at least replace half of one of our incomes with just our sales from our Etsy store.
Okay. Excellent. And currently, is the shop profitable?
It's profitable in the sense that it pays for its fees and its advertising.
Oh, great.
And then sometimes it pays for the fees that I use for the software that I use to create stuff. Okay. And that for us this year has been a surprise because the previous year it wasn't as successful as it is this year. We've really grown a lot this year.
Right. Have you been putting more time and effort into it this year than previously?
Yeah, I think we have.
Okay.
We've done a lot more social networking also, which I think has really helped.
Right. Okay. So. When you're creating, and I guess this question is for both of you, because Monica, you do the wreaths, and Ben, you do the graphic design. What inspires you when you're creating different products?
For me, it's just whatever I see that I like. Like I'll see a yarn and I just like the texture or the color of it, and I just kind of go with that. And I do make some. I don't think I have any in my Etsy shop as of yet, but I do have some fabric wreaths also, and it's just the fabric has to speak to me, and the pattern and colors and style of it.
Now, I'm so impressed because when I think wreaths, I think dried flowers, but you make wreaths out of anything.
Oh yeah, it's endless what you can make a wreath out of. It's pretty amazing.
That's unbelievable. Did you teach yourself that?
Yes.
Wow. Impressive. Very impressive.
YouTube is my friend. There's so many things out there that you can teach yourself, with YouTube and Pinterest and all sorts of venues like that. So it makes it easier.
Nice. And Ben, what about you?
I'm a really big fan of typography. I really like the way the fonts play out and the spacing and the look that you can achieve. And so I'll look through something, or I'll be on our commute in the morning. I might see something that kind of catches my eye, and I think about it for a while, and then I'll go through Pinterest is a really great place to kind of catch ideas, or looking through just stuff on the internet. I'll come across something completely unattached to anything that's design oriented, and it'll start me thinking about something, and then I'll put it together and start building something. And about halfway through, if it hasn't really gone the direction I'm wanting it to, or it's not speaking to me, then it probably will sit for a little while until it does work. The design process sometimes for me it can be very quick, or it can take a long time. And something as simple as changing the look of a font will change the way the direction goes.
Right.
So it's a process.
Yeah. And now, how did you pick weddings as your primary niche?
Weddings are a consistent event in everybody's life, and so are births and anniversaries and things like that. But weddings are a really great place to really start, because it seems like always somebody's getting married, and it just was a great place to start. In fact, we didn't even really have a life event, a daughter getting married or anything like that in order for it to start. That's just kind of where we started out at. I used to cater a long time ago, so I've always been kind of stuck in a thinking about weddings.
Yeah.
So
in event mode, huh?
Event mode.
It's a really great place to be creative too. I mean, you can be creative with other types of invitations and cards and whatnot, but weddings just seem to be
they're far more open to be creative with, surprisingly, than say a birthday announcement or a graduation or something like that.
Right.
Weddings are far more creative.
Oh, right, yeah. So, do you spend time looking at other designs that are similar to yours, both of you, at Etsy shops that sell things similar to what you sell?
I look at other wreath shops just to make sure that my price points are on target.
Okay.
Not so much for seeing what other people are doing or like that, but for price points, making sure my keywords are on target and things like that.
And I do similar things too. I want to make sure that I'm not outside of the price range for something that's in that similarity of content. A lot of times I'll look to see if their keywords are catching my keywords, to see how everything's working out. So it's and I'll occasionally look through and see what other people are doing, just to see if there's a trend.
Right.
Trends are in weddings and stuff seem to come and go. Like right now, blackboard, chalkboard designs are real fashionable.
Yes.
So you kind of want to go through and see, because if it suddenly starts to disappear, then it's time to stop playing around with chalkboards.
Right, right.
And we buy a lot of stuff from other Etsy shops. We do a lot of our Christmas shopping from other Etsy shops
Etsy.
like that.
Yeah, I find that in the Etsy community, it's very tight knit, and people like to shop with.
I like what I see. I like looking through other shops that are not my own or in my own field of interest.
Right.
So it's a lot of fun to go digging through other people's stuff.
Yeah.
Of sorts.
Have either of you had any bad experiences on Etsy?
Generally, no.
Okay.
We've had a few just kind of snafus with products getting shipped and what happens when they get shipped to other countries. But overall, we've not had a whole lot of problems that couldn't be easily fixed or simply resolved.
Oh, good. How do you promote your Etsy shop?
Oh boy.
That's a tough question, huh?
It's a lot of different ways. We have Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter. We have our own website, and it's hard to keep up with, but we try to promote our items on all of those.
Are you able to track which ones give you the best return on your time investment?
Some of it, it's surprising where some things will come from. Twitter seems to be a really good place to get some followers, to get views. That seems to drive our views higher.
Okay.
Facebook is kind of in the middle. A lot of promotion just comes from just Twitter, I would say, more than anything.
We belong to several teams.
Oh, and
also.
the teams are really good for movement too.
And I try to pop into the forums when I can.
Okay. How did you decide what teams you wanted to belong to?
Some of them we were invited to, and then others I just kind of did a search for similar products to what we do, so we could have a community to bounce ideas off of and things like that.
Right.
So I think we belong to 20 teams now.
Oh, wow.
So some of them are more active than others.
Yeah.
But that has seemed to help.
Okay.
Too, yeah.
Now, with your website, is it primarily for blogging, or do you use it as an avenue to talk more about your creative process and what's going on behind the scenes?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
It's meant to. We offer a freebie download once a month.
Oh, nice.
There, and then we haven't really gotten too much into our process yet, because with full-time jobs, it's amazing how little time you have to do too many disciplines. But
yeah,
the website kind of gets drug along as we go along, and so we're adding to it. It's going to have some forums where we can talk about types of papers to print on and things like that. We're getting there with it.
Yeah.
We have some kind of instructional blog or something that really goes step by step on the printing process. So when somebody buys something from our shop, we can direct them to the website, and they have all their instructions there.
Okay.
And then our goal is just to blog more. That hasn't seemed to become a reality yet, but
yeah, it's kind of hard when you're working full time. Trust me, I know. And I'm going to have links to all your website and your social media accounts. So if anyone wants to get in contact with you, those links will be there. And your website name is catchmestudio.com, which is great. You guys got you're branding your line really well.
Well, we've tried to keep it consistent throughout all of our social media, so there's no confusion, and then it kind of really gets that branding name out there.
Right.
So,
okay. On average, how much time per week would you say working on your Etsy business takes?
Oh, for me, it's probably, I would say 10 to 15 hours a week.
Okay.
I would say during the week, I probably put in 10 to 15 hours. And then the weekend, if I get a good clean weekend of just working on that, I could put in another 16. So I could put in easily 20 to 30 hours a week just on Etsy and work outside of that.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. It's like a whole other part-time job.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And keeping up must be hard too.
Surprisingly, no. I mean, there are days where you get tired and decide I'm not going to do this today.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's something I'm really passionate about wanting to do. So to come home, and I work in a similar field, so I'm not. It just feels like I'm just coming home and doing work at home.
Oh, okay.
What's nice at this point, it doesn't seem like a chore. We enjoy doing what we're doing, and so it's easy to come home and dive into what we need to do for our Etsy shop. So
I feel very energized at times when I've been working really hard on something during the day that's unrelated, and then come home and work on my own product. I feel really good about it.
Oh, that's great. That's good to hear. Now, how is it working together? How do you split the responsibilities? Like, who does the shipping and well, I guess you only do the shipping for the physical products.
Right.
Okay.
There is no clear, we didn't sit down and decide, okay, you're going to do this and you're going to do that. We just kind of organically fell into our own little responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Monica does more of the social media promotion because she'll do it like on her lunch break at work or something like that. So I can definitely say, does far more of the social part.
Okay.
And while I'll do the website and all of the things that go along with that, and then designing the product and working on the marketing aspect of the images and things like that. So, But then when I'm trying to create something, Monica has become my art director, and so I bounce my ideas off of her. And
he does the same for me. So we work really well together.
That's great. So, can I ask, how did you come up with the name Catch Me Studio?
Good question.
Well, we kind of wanted something that was...
we needed something easy and catchy and, not anything complicated.
Yeah, and I didn't want to use our names attached to it because that's easy enough to do. But we just wanted something that was different, something that we could brand real strong across multiple areas and not have confusion. And we tossed around some ideas for a while. That's one of the reasons why we took a long time to kind of get ourselves going. And then once we kind of settled onto a name, and I'm not even sure anymore how we ended up with the name.
Well, it's kind of a funny story. Our one of our favorite shows at the time was Deadliest Catch. Religiously. And so we were kind of playing off, somehow we connected to the catch part of that. And so we kept playing off of that, trying to find something that worked. And somehow we just came up with Catch Me Studio. And our logo has changed since then, but I think at that time it was a butterfly. Yeah,
there was a butterfly in there.
Oh, okay. I like the new logo.
That was fun to put together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice. When I was, because I was thinking about it myself, I was wondering how you picked the name, and I thought, okay, they do weddings, so it's probably a play on, finding that catch to marry.
It is, and that was originally kind of where we were going with that idea, and it seems to stick well with that feeling.
Yeah. Yep, it does. Sorry, I digressed.
No, that's right.
Okay, so have you at any time wanted to quit Etsy or close your Etsy shop?
Oh gosh, no.
Oh, great.
I would rather, in some ways, do this than work full time. I find this to be far more creative and more open.
Our day jobs get in the way.
Yeah. Silly thing about having to have, full-time jobs.
I know the feeling because I'm right there with you.
There are times that we've been maybe frustrated with not enough views or not enough sales, but I don't think
No, we've never
closing
wanted to
has
close
ever
it, no.
crossed our minds. So.
Okay.
I think if anything, the lack of views or sales has motivated us to
do more,
network more, put more product on there. Has been more of a motivator than anything.
Right. And in the networking you've done, have you found that you've created some valuable relationships and connections within the Etsy community?
Yeah, I think so. There's a couple teams that we're on that are really active, and they know our name now. We kind of know the regulars in that group, and we can bounce ideas off of them. And the forums are really good for that too. So I feel definitely like we're part of a community.
Great. So when you get an idea for a new product or a new product, how long typically does it take you to go from the idea to actually executing it and then listing it?
For me, it takes a while because I'll see a material that I want to use, but I'm a perfectionist, so I'll work at it and then I stop because I don't like it, or I'll take it apart and I'll put it back together again. So for me, I mean, it could take weeks to create a wreath just because I'm the way I am. But for you, Ben?
For me, sometimes it can be minutes, depending on if something really is clicking right along with everything. Sometimes it can take months. I have a couple of designs right now that are just in process that just I haven't gotten back to. I try to have a couple of ideas kind of simmering in the background. Sometimes wedding invitations specifically can come really, really fast, and you can everything just fits perfectly together, and within an hour I can have something ready to go.
Oh, great.
Sometimes it can take months,
Yeah.
and then I'll completely revise it, and then it's all done. So it just the creative process for me is sometimes, I wouldn't say it's a fight, but it definitely can be not frustrating, but difficult.
Right.
Until it really gets to where you want it to go, and then all of a sudden it's done, and you're either really proud of it or you want to take it apart and try it again.
Okay.
We really like custom orders too, and that kind of helps with the creative process too, because you can bounce things off of the person that you're making it for, and they kind of have an idea to start with what they want, and usually they just let you go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So, that's kind of fun.
Yeah, custom orders are a really great way to be forced to focus down on something, because sometimes when it's wide open to your imagination, it'll take a little longer to get there. But if you have something that's very focused, invite for a birthday party or something, you're already in that mindset.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. 'Cause I was going to say, which do you think is easier to work with? But it sounds like if someone comes to you with somewhat of an idea.
Deadline, yeah. Because my field during the day as a graphic designer is very focused on deadlines and very specific and very narrow things, so topics that I have to work on. So when I'm open to doing my own thing, sometimes it takes a while to get there, which is why my wife, as the art director, pointing me in a direction that is actually more helpful
Okay.
than not.
Yeah.
Well, he'll come to me and he'll say, okay, what should I make now? Well, you could do this, and this. And so he'll just kind of think about it for a while, and then he, creates miracles and comes up with something, and I'm always amazed at what he comes up with.
Wow. Have you guys thought about starting your Christmas lines yet?
Oh, yeah. I usually start thinking about Christmas May, June.
Oh, wow. Really early.
Well, because I won't get around to them for a while, but I've already started thinking about my colors and kind of the things I'd like to do. One of the ideas that we've been kicking around is a far more involved card that there's more instructions on how to put it together. So I'm starting to think about how I would start creating that idea and what I could do with it. So I think several months out about specifically holidays.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've been starting to think about fall and then Christmas especially.
Oh, that's right, because wreath season starts in the fall with Thanksgiving and all. Yeah.
With wreaths, you kind of hit all of the holidays, so to speak. So Easter and Christmas, all of that kind of thing. So it's kind of a year-round thing, although it has lags, at certain parts of the year. But fall seems to be a pretty big one also. So
great. Do you guys find that you ever get into creative ruts where just nothing is coming to you?
Oh yeah.
Oh sure.
How do you get out?
I will typically change. I'll change fields of work. So instead of doing print work, I'll do web design work for a while. And it forces my brain into thinking much differently. Or I'll work on, I've been moving towards doing some hand lettering stuff, and that forces me to think differently. I just try to do whatever I can. And if I'm really stuck, I'll start drawing, which will take me in a different direction.
Do you do hand drawing?
I'm working on adding that to our line, yes.
Oh, wow. Nice. And Monica?
When I get into a rut, I just kind of like Ben, I switch my focus. So then I really dive into our social media and that kind of stuff. And then, something will come to me and I'll start putting it together. So it's just a change. It's like a small child. You have to redirect their focus.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
I think adults are kind of like that too sometimes.
Yes, I agree. What's one lesson you would say you've learned maybe the hard way from selling on Etsy or about selling on Etsy?
I think the hardest thing for us was figuring out shipping costs. And it's still a mystery to me. We've lost a little bit of money on shipping and things like that, but
shipping seemed to be the biggest challenge for us in the beginning, and it didn't stop us from wanting to have a product that we shipped,
right?
But it definitely made us think about not only just how to ship it, but who the carrier would be, or how to get it to a destination, and how to get it to a destination intact, and
the best packaging for the item. And then there's shipping overseas, where we've had experiences shipping to Canada where our product got held up in customs. And so we had, customer calling, or not calling, but messaging, where's my product? And trying to get a hold of somebody at the postal service. And we've learned a lot through that process. So now we know to put in our shop policies and things about shipping overseas. Your product might, be delayed.
Okay. I think that whole shipping thing is always a learning.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, a learning experience for most people. Are you able to tell which packages will get stopped at customs and which ones just go through?
No, and we did find that shipping to Canada was more problematic than anywhere else.
Yeah, because we've shipped to Australia and I think we shipped something to the UK, and those were fine. They were a breeze, but shipping to Canada seemed to be our holdup for some reason. But I've heard, in going into the forums, I've seen other people talk about there's things being caught up in customs somewhere, and then customs in that country was trying to charge the person picking it up an extra fee. Yeah. And then there was a question of, who pays for what, and it's a mystery.
Yes, and I had another guest on who said the same thing. Something about them charging an extra fee to pick up something about that just doesn't sound right.
Yeah, it sounds a little fishy, but you never know. It's always a learning curve.
Yeah.
So that's been our biggest problem. Other than that,
it's been pretty easy. Other than that,
yeah, we haven't had really any problems.
Did you catch on easily to the whole Etsy relevancy and Etsy SEO thing?
Oh, Ben caught on to that
Well,
far better than I did.
One of my jobs is as a graphic designer, as I do web design, and I've had to think constantly about SEO really from the start. And so the one, every platform is a little differently. So what Google is looking for is a little bit different than what somebody else is looking for as far as relevancy.
Mm-hmm.
But it worked well for us, just doing the process that we were doing.
Okay.
But to integrate that between all of our stuff is where the challenge has been. So on our website, we want to try to make it as consistent as possible. So that's been more of a challenge than.
I see.
But I really do appreciate the way that Etsy has put together their stores,
Right.
and the way that the information that you get from them to help you build your business has been pretty invaluable.
Yeah, and they give a lot too.
Yeah, they do. Although there's a little bit more I wish I could get a hold of from them, but it'll come in time, I'm sure. I'm sure there's other people out there who feel the same way.
Hey, you just almost answered my next question, which was if you could ask Etsy to implement any feature that they don't currently have, what would it be?
I would like to be able to look at my data as far as my search results, and I'd just like it expanded far more. Okay. I would almost like to be able to drill down on a single item all the way down from the moment that it was put on there, as far as what keywords get hit on it more often than others. I would just like to be able to really just get everything I can on a single item.
Okay, so more analytics information.
More analytics.
Okay, excellent.
Oh, and then I did ask for them to tell me if I had a physical product or a digital product in the inventory page.
Oh, okay.
But that's more for my own personal laziness.
How about you, Monica? If you could have any new feature added to Etsy, what would you like to see?
Oh gosh, I can't think of anything at the moment. Ben is more focused on that area than I am, so.
Okay, well, that's good. At least you're satisfied with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For what I do and what I need on there, I think Etsy's been really helpful. The handbook is great to reference back to.
Yes.
So I think they do a pretty good job.
Yeah, they do.
Okay. All right. So last question. If you could give a new Etsy seller advice, or someone who is considering selling on Etsy, what would you tell them?
I think for somebody that's already selling on Etsy, or new to selling on Etsy, hang in there. Don't give up. Your sales aren't going to happen overnight, but if you keep with it, it's going to pay off. So,
and use social media.
And use social media to your advantage.
Anyone in particular, or just whichever one works best?
As much and as often as you can. It's not really any one specific social media outlet is not going to carry you all the way through. You kind of need them all.
Yeah,
but don't try to use all of them. Try to find the ones that you find the most comfortable to use, and then just work at them.
I try to use all of them, and sometimes it gets a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out the Twitter process, when to use hashtags and when to not, and, do all that stuff. But but I think if you use all of your medias across the board for the most part, and find out which source is driving most of your views and sales, I would stick with that one.
Stick with that one. Yeah, that makes sense. What's the best way people can reach you if they want to connect with you?
Through Etsy.
I would say through the Etsy Convo, or you can visit our website. There's an area on our website that you can leave us a message, contact us. So either one of those avenues.
Yeah. Our Facebook page is good too.
Okay. And I will have, again, links to all all your to your Etsy shop and your Facebook page and your other social media accounts and your website, so folks can reach out to you if they need to. Ben, Monica, thank you so much for being my guests on the podcast.
Thank you so much for asking us. It's been fun.
Oh, great. I had fun too.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review too. Visit convome.com to leave a comment or feedback on this episode.